Yes.
Thank you, my lord. Brigadier, when you were requested by the state to go through the photos that are contained in Exhibit S, you came to photos which are depicted therein that depict firearms, photos of firearms. Do you still remember that?
Usakhumbula ukuthi uke wacelwa besiteli ukuthi ke ubheke umboniso u-AS onezithombe zezibhamu.
Yes, I do recall, my lord.
Yebo ngiyakhumbula.
Do you still remember that it was also your evidence that one of those firearms depicted there is the firearm that was used in the commission of this offense? You still remember that?
Ngiyakhumbula ukuthi esinye salezi zibhamu ezikhona lapho yilesi sibhamu esasetshenziswa ekwenzeni lobubi.
Was it my evidence or in a statement?
Yes, it was your evidence.
I don't have a recollection. Saying that here in court, perhaps in my statement, maybe, but I don't have a recollection of that, my lord.
Angikhumbuli ngikusho la enkantolo mhlambe ke ngabe kukhona istatement sami kodwa angikhumbuli ngikusho lokho la enkantolo.
Thank you. I'll go and check it, but
Yeah, I don't have a recollection, my lord. I'm trying to think back. I don't.
Cha ngiyeza impela ukukhumbula kodwa angikhumbuli lokho.
We let it slide. The witness never testified to that effect.
yeah, I would have remembered. Yes, it is the court, my lord. Okay. What was your testimony with regard to the firearms that are depicted in there when you were led by the state?
Yini okwakusho ngesikhathi ubuzwa umshushisi mayelana nesibhamu ezibonakala lapho?
The state actually requested you to comment. Remember, the state said to you, go through the photos. What do you see in this photo? What do you see in that photo? Then you came to a point where you had to make comments about those the photos that are depicting firearms. What was your comment with regard to those firearms?
Ukuthi waphawula wathini ke lapho ngoba usakhumbula ukuthi umshushisi wacela ukuthi bheka ke yini oyibonayo yini izisa ngalezo zibhamu. Manje ke yini okwakuphawula mhlazane bekubuza kanjani?
My lord, my recollection is that I was describing, the comment was in relation to what was contained in each paragraph. So I will describe, for example, in photo 38, I will describe that I see a rifle, for example. Then I'll describe the color. So I will comment insofar as what was contained in the photo, my lord. That's my recollection.
Cha mina nje ngiphawula lokho kubonakala esithombeni ngiyakhumbula khona esinye isithombe engasibheka ngabona ukuthi lesi sibhamu esikhulu kodwa ungangikwenza lelo ngokuphawula nje ukuthi yini engiyibonayo esithombeni.
What would have been the relevance of the inclusion of these photos in the photo album? In this photo album?
Manje yini ke umqoka noma yini ubumqoka balezi zibhamu ezikhona lapho kulezo izithombe ezikule album?
Yes, I'm sorry, let me put it like this. What would have been the relevance of the inclusion of the photos which depict firearms in this photo album?
Ngisho ukuthi ke kusiza ngani ke ukuthi kube nezithombe ezikhombisa izibhamu kulezo izithombe?
My lord, it was part of the investigation, and one will recall that there was allegations, or rather there was suggestion in the statements that we obtained that at some stage accused 3 was in possession of firearms. And as part of the investigation, one was able to investigate and establish as to whether he's got a license to possess a firearm or not, and I've done it with all accused. That was a no, he didn't have. However, in his downloads, then it shows that in his own phone, there are firearms that are depicted. So it was basically the collaboration of this assertion of firearms around him, my lord.
Lana ukuthi ke sasiphela siphenya sizama ukuthola izinto eziningi ngoba sokhumbula ukuthi wabuzwa ukuthi unayo yini imvume yokuba nesibhamu sathola ukuthi akanayo imvume yesibhamu kodwa ke uma sibheka lapha kuma downloads esefonini yakhe kuyabonakala ukuthi khona izithombe zezibhamu manje sasifuna ke ukuqhubeka nophenyo sizwisise ukuthi kwenzekani.
That's my answer.
Was there any significant outcome? Or let me put it this way. What would then have been the significance of the photos in relation to the charges that he was facing?
Manje kwakuyini ke ubumqoka balezi thombe zalezi bhamu mayelana necala ke labasolo.
My lord, that's what I'm explaining, that there was this allegation, and now I think I've answered. I'm not sure whether I should repeat it again.
Ngicabanga ukuthi bese ngiphendulile angiboni ukuthi ngisafanele ngiphinde ngikusho lokho.
Thank you, sir. Exhibit JJ, which is the identity kit that was compiled by Mrs. Yvonne Steenekamp, has already been dealt with here at court previously by my colleague Mr. Ramusipili. Yes, Exhibit J. I'm sorry, my lord. That is only Exhibit J, not double J, but only one J, Exhibit J. Now,
Kukhona ke umbukiso uJ lo one identity kit umdwebo lo owenziwa uMrs Steenekamp okhona la ngoba ngiyakhumbula ukuthi wake wabuzwa ubaba uRamsipidi la enkantolo.
yes. Now, you would recall that according to the affidavit of Mrs. Steenekamp, the exercise, or this exercise of compiling an affidavit, was done on the 31st of October 2014. Do you still recall that?
So khumbula ukuthi ke kule affidavit ka Mrs Steenekamp kuthiwa ke i-affidavit yakhona yenziwa mhla ka 31 ku-October 2014. Khumbula lokho?
Yes, the first affidavit, my lord, I do recall.
Yebo ngiyakhumbula lokho.
Actually, she deposed to a number of affidavits. Let me just go through the dates so that you are on the same page. There is one that she deposed to on the 31st of October 2014. There's one which she deposed to I've got some duplicates of these photo albums. But nonetheless, we're getting there. There is one that was deposed to on the 15th of November 2019.
Khona yenza mhla 31 October 2014. enye ke wayenza umhla 15 kuNovember ka2019.
Then there is also one which was deposed to on the 19th of June 2020.
Khona wayenza umhla 19 June 2020.
There is one that was deposed to on the 15th of November 2019. I'm not so sure whether I mentioned this.
Khona ke
15th
ayenza
November
ngomhla
2019.
15 kuNovember 2019.
Yes. Now, I want us to start to deal first with the one that was deposed to on the 31st of October 2014.
Yes, my lord.
You'll pardon me, Brigadier, when there's a bit of a issue here with regard to the dates, because when we got these papers, we got them in leaflet forms.
Understand, my lord.
They were not in a properly bundled form, you know. So we had to try and combine them and try to make sense of each paper as to which paper does it then follow.
Yes, my lord.
Yes, thank you. Now, I will not read everything because my memory serves me well. My colleague, Mr. Ramusipeli, actually read the content of some of this, of some of his affidavits into record. I'll simply go to the portion that will be relevant for purposes of my cross-examination.
Yes, my lord.
Thank you. Now, there's one on the one that was deposed on the 31st of October 2014. I think it was page 3 thereof. Page 4 thereof. I want us to concentrate on page 4.
Ekhasini lesine la kukhona affidavit yenziwa umhla ka-31st ku-October 2014.
Yes, my lord, I'm here.
When she says that on the Monday of the 29th of October 2014, he was called out to Phosphorus detective and was accompanied by Lieutenant Colonel M.J. Stricher, who was an operation commander, PARTII then LCRC, in order to go and interview witnesses in relation to case number 676-10 of 2014. Are you with me there?
I'm with you, my lord, but I suppose, I think we dealt with this part, that the case number, but I think it was a mistake. It's supposed to be 636, not 676, but I think it was an
636,
error.
okay.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 636. That's
Thank
the
you.
correct case number.
Thank you, Brigadier. Then she goes on to say, she then interviewed several witnesses individually, and the first witness that she interviewed was Kelly Kuman. And she narrates her story as to what Kelly actually told her. What Kelly told her, but what it is then in essence, because she's an identity kit specialist, Then in relation to her specific role that she needed to play in this case, this is what Kelly told her. She says, she gave the following description: an African male in his mid-20s, dark brown, shiny complexion, dreadlock hairstyle, no scars, no facial hair, a golden insert in upper teeth, language, he spoke local Zulu, and was wearing a brown jacket with a woolen collar. He was not clean in appearance. Suspect A is the one who entered the house first and was armed with an old black revolver. Kelly could not describe the second suspect, and she was satisfied after a description of the first suspect. She compiled the face with the headgear. Thank you. Now, you would agree with me that 29 October 2014 is only 3 days after this incident had happened, not so?
Uzovumelana nami ukuthi mhla 29 October 2014 ku izinsuku ezintathu kuphela emva kwesehlakalo.
It's two to be precise, but up to this statement, my lord, was commissioned on the 31st actually, so it will be, I suppose, 3 days to 4.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's close. I think the essence of what Advocate Mnesi is saying, it's very short from the time the offense was committed to the time this statement was made.
Zimbili lezi zinsuku uma sibhekisisa kodwa ke into ezama ukuyiveza ubabumnisi ukuthi kwakuseduze kakhulu nosuku lwesehlakalo.
Thank you. Now you will agree with me as a seasoned investigating officer that witnesses are able to give an accurate, not really an accurate version. Witnesses' memory is prone to have a clearer recollection of what could have happened within a day or two after the occurrence of the incident, more than they would be able to do it after almost 2, 3, 4, 5 years, not so?
Manje uzofuna nami ukuthi ke abantu bayakwazi ukuthi bakhumbule kahle ukuthi kwenzekani izinsuku ezimbili emva kwesehlakalo ngaphezulu ke ukuthi bakhumbule uma sekudlule iminyaka kanjalo.
So my lord, I'll answer it this way. When it comes to the crime scene, so I'm going to the witnesses, but I want to equate it to the crime scene. That assertion, insofar as the crime scene is concerned, is correct, because when you visit the crime scene after the incident has happened, you are likely to find more evidence and probably even eyewitnesses that will support the version, unlike you visiting the scene years later. However, with human beings, my experience, I think it varies from human to human, my lord, because one will not know the condition, the memory. I mean, we are not born the same way or have the same capabilities of recalling things. The level of IQ, it's not the same. So all those factors, my lord, in my view, in my experience, plays a role, and it varies from individual to individual. So you may find individuals, yes, will have a clear memory just after the incident has happened, but others, even just as the incident has happened, and you have all supporting evidence that supports as to what happened. And when I say support, I'm referring to example to photos or video recordings of the incident, but you'll find witnesses who will not be able to tell you as accurately as the video is depicting. So in my experience, my lord has taught me that it depends on a person to person, my lord.
In masibusi sikhuluma ngendawo yesehlakalo kaningi akubi noshintsho oluningi oluba khona, kodwa ke masikhuluma ngabantu kukhona ukwehlukana indlela abantu abakwazi ukukhumbula izinto ngayo, asifani asina amakhono afanayo. Ngoba kuyenzeka ukuthi noma uphethe izithombe namavideo akhombisayo uthola ukuthi hayi abantu nje incazelo zabo uthola ukuthi ziyehlukana. Lokhu kuya ngokuthi ke vele abantu abafani abanamakhono alinganayo.
And this, my lord, can be seen where one incident takes place and then people dispose affidavit who were all present, but you will not find a similar pattern. Almost like even here in court, I can assure my lord that if an incident happens, when we dispose affidavits, myself and advocate even Menesi might differ with slight utterances in terms of what happened, because it depends as to when it happens, how was my reaction, how are you as a human being made to react to those situations. So it varies, my lord. It's not a golden rule that the memory will be accurate when the incident has just happened to each and every person.
Futhi ke ngifuna ukunezezela ukuthi ke abantu ababona izinto ngokufana ngoba ngenzeka ukuthi sibe khona sonke la bese kuba nento eyenzekayo la into ke engizoyichaza mina izohluka kulezo chaza uadvocate Mnisi ngoba yena sinendlela ezehlukile zokuthi sibone into mhlawumbe uzoyibona ngendlela ethe ukwehluka kancane nami ngiyibone ngendlela ukuthi ukwehluka ukuthi egcineni ke uma sesiletha imibiko mayelana nokuthi kwenzekeni sizoletha imibiko eyehlukene.
And my lord, lastly, sorry, I don't want to be taking long to get Mnisi. I'm not saying the contents, the essence of what happened will be similar, but I'm referring to details, where, for example, one will have to give specific details of what happens in the sequence of the events, but the essence of what really happened may be similar, my lord.
Manje ngisho ukuthi ke sizochaza ungathola ukuthi ke la imininingwane echazayo ukuthi kwenzekeni kukhona la isohluka khona kodwa ke into esikhuluma ngayo izobe iyona ifana.
Yes, my lord.
Thank you, sir. Now, in her description of the suspect that she saw, who was wielding a firearm, she told Mrs. Steenkamp that the person was dark brown with a shiny complexion in the mid-20s. He had red locks, he had no scars, no facial hair. He had a golden inset in the upper teeth, and he spoke a local Zulu language. Is there any particular reason that this description may be faulted?
Manje ngendlela le atshela Mrs. Steenkamp ngawathi lo muntu lona wayenebala elingathi limnyama and futhi ke elicobezelayo nokuthi wayenama dreadlocks nokuthi kukhona ke wayenezinyo legolide nokuthi futhi ke wayekhuluma isiZulu esikhulunywa endaweni. Manje kukhona yini okubonayo okungekuhle kule ncazelo yakhe?
So, my lord, the only way I can answer this, and I think I tried to venture into this when I was dealing with the cross-examination of Mr. Ramsipil. So, this is the statement by Warrant Officer Steenkamp, my lord. Then the statement made by Miss Kelly Kumalo. Oh, no, this is lateness. Miss Kelly Kumalo, my lord, if you take, for example, what Warrant Officer Steenkamp about the revolver, it is not mentioned in a statement. It simply says a firearm. So you simply have to take the statement that is under oath, signed by her, in relation to what Warrant Officer Steenkamp says she said to her. If you take that statement and you correlate, like I'm saying, for example, the issue of an old firearm with a revolver, it's not what she's saying in a statement. So if you compare the two, you find inconsistencies, my lord.
Manje ke lokho kusho Steenkamp lapha ke ngehluka ngoba uMrs. Steenkamp mechaza lapha istatementini sakhe uthe nje yena isibhamu akazange ngachaza ukuthi cha uhloboni isibhamu noma ivolovono noma olunye uhlobo lesibhamu kodwa uvele nje wathi isibhamu kodwa ke akuveli lana futhi nokuthi kwakuyisibhamu esidala nokuthi isibhamu esasinjani vele nje wachaza ukuthi isibhamu.
What is consistent, my lord, that I will not find fault in what Warrant Officer Steenkamp is saying, the consistency and the essence of it is that there were two intruders, there was a struggle and a gunshot was fired. These are the differences I was referring to, that specific details or tiny details, my lord, that is where you'll find the inconsistencies. But the essence of what is contained, and that relates to all the people that even Warrant Officer Steenkamp interviewed who were inside the house. The version is the same. There were intruders, there was a struggle, and then a gunshot was fired and the deceased was then shot. What is not accurate and going from teeth to teeth, my lord, is the description of the intruders. The detailed description. There are similarities, but not accurate, as the accuracy of saying the intruders demanded cell phones and money in Zulu. All of them are saying the same, my lord. The issue of the struggle, that is consistent, is corroborated. The issue of the gunshot, that is corroborated. The issue of the dreadlocks, my lord, it's also corroborated, but the tiny details, as I'm saying, my lord, they are not accurate. Hence, I'm saying the issue of the firearm is described in Warrant Officer Steenkamp's being a revolver. It's not contained in Mrs. Kelly Khumalo's statement.
Unyeke ngakusho ukuthi ke kukhona izinto ekungaphikisana ngazo ezifana nokuthi ke abantu abangena babe babili nokuthi ke kwaba nokubamba naphambi phakathi kwamufi nalo wayephethe isibhamu nokuthi kwadutshulwa nokuthi umufi wadutshulwa. Kodwa khona ke ezinye izinto abathi mabekhuluma ngazo ubona ukuthi ziyafana njengokuthi ke ubona ukuthi ziyehluka njengokuthi incazelo mabechaza ukuthi babe njani labantu abangena bayahluka lapho, kodwa uma sifika endweni ezinjengokuthi bakhuluma isiZulu hayi lapho ke akukho kwehlukana.
Yes, my lord.
It is very interesting, Brigadier Kininda, to hear you say that there is consistency in some aspect of the evidence of the witnesses who were in the house, and there is also some inconsistencies, particularly as it relates to the description of the intruders. That's very interesting. Now, Kelly describes this intruder as a dark brown person with a shiny complexion. Dark brown, shiny complexion.
Ukanike masechaza ukuthi lo muntu ke oyengena la wayenebaleli ngathi limnyama kodwa ke futhi ke nesikhumba sakhe sasicwebezela.
Now, who else from the witnesses who were in the house which you have interviewed describes this person, the gun totter, not as being a person with a dark skin or a dark brown skin or a dark skin?
Banomunye chaza ke lo muntu lo kuthiwa wayephethe isibhamu ethi ke wayenebala elinsundu.
My lord,
Sorry,
yeah.
Who else? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr.
Can you
Ngo.
please repeat
Yes,
it?
the question is, who else describes the gun totter as not having a dark brown complexion from the witnesses who were in the house? Thank you.
Manje kulabafakazi ababesendlini ubani omunye ochaza ibala lalomuntu okuthiwa wayephethe isibhamu njengomuntu ongenaso isikhumba esinsundu esimnyama.
My lord, I'll have to go through the witness statements, all of them, insofar as those that I've interviewed, because like I said, it's not one statement, so I will not want to give an inaccurate answer.
Yes.
So
one will have to go through their statements incomplete, because they speak to what they saw, my lord.
Hayi ngizofanele ngiye kuzo zonke itatimende zabo ngoba bakhuluma izinto ezihlukene ukuze ngingenzi amaphutha.
Just a second. Thank you, Brigadier. I'm going to request you to do that. Probably we'll come back on that aspect tomorrow or after you have gone through that statement.
Yes.
Now, who else from the witnesses who was in the house describes the gun totter as a person who did not have dreadlocks?
Ubani omunye ochaza lo muntu wayephethe isibhamu njengomuntu wayengenawo ama-dreadlocks?
I don't think, my lord, there's any of the people in the house who says the first intruder did not have dreadlocks. That's my recollection. All the statements are saying the intruder, the first intruder, had dreadlocks.
Ngicabanga ukuthi khona wathi wachaza lo muntu owangena endlini njengongenama straight lock. Ngathi bonke bayibeka kanjalo ukuthi unama dreadlocks.
Do you then realize that when you say that the people in the house differ in terms of their description of the person who got into the house, that is inaccurate?
Yabona ukuthi ke umuchaza ukuthi umuthi wena incazelo zalabantu abengaphakathi endlini ziyehluka akulona iqiniso.
No, I think perhaps, my lord, we didn't understand each other.
I don't know if it's a fair question. To start with, this question is very broad. And secondly, the question that preceded that was to read out the description contained in this report by Ms. Steenekamp and as given by Ms. Kelly Kumalo, and then to ask this witness, can this description be faulted? And the witness then said, well, there are certain details that differ, but now to say that her answer was incorrect, we submit, my lord, that there is not a fair proposition to put to this witness, as that proposition, my lord, is couched in very broad terms. The witness has already answered to that question as to whether that description can be faulted by saying that certain minor details, certain minute details differ, my lord. So it cannot be said that he was not correct in that respect.
As it pleases the court, my lord, this witness, it's him who said the witnesses who were in the house are consistent insofar as that there was an intruder, there were two intruders, those intruders were males, those generic aspects. But insofar as the description of the intruders, the witnesses who were in the house differ. That is exactly what he said, my lord. And then I even said to him, oh, Mr. Kininda, it is very interesting, Brigadier Kininda, it is very interesting if that comes from you, which is then why I then embarked, asked him the first question. Of the people who were in the house, which witness does not describe the gun toter as a person who did not have a dark brown skin? His answer was, I am not so sure. I still need to go and read through all their statements. The next question, and then I said to him, okay, it's fine. He will be given an opportunity to go and do that, but still have to go and pursue that question. Then the next question to him is, which is still in line with the first question, which witness who was in the house describes the gun toter as a person who did not have dreadlocks? Then the state is objecting. I don't know what is not fair about Margaret, because this is it's in line. It's similar to the first question. It has got to do with the description of the suspect, which Mr. Kininda says the witnesses in their house, they differ in their description. I'm not so sure whether I need to proceed.
Yeah, proceed.
Thank you.
Of course, sir.
Which witness who was in the house does not describe the gun toter as a person who had dreadlocks?
Ubani ufakazi wayelapha endlini othi ke umechaza lo muntu wayephethe isibhamu amchaze njengomuntu wayengenawo ama dreadlock.
My Lord, I've answered that question to say there's none in my recollection. All of the witnesses that were in the house does or do describe the first intruder with dreadlocks. That's the first part, my Lord.
bonke ababelapha endlini bathi uma bechaza umuntu oyephethe isibhamu bathi yebo wayenama-dreadlocks.
Secondly, my Lord, I have said the witnesses who were in the house, in essence of what happened, that is similar. But the details insofar as the description of the intruders, that is where you don't find the consistencies. I never said, my Lord, you do not find complete consistency insofar as the description is concerned. I said, when it comes to details, that is why, my Lord, I even made an example that even in instances where there will be video recordings or photos, you will find witnesses who will still say something different insofar as specific details are concerned. But the essence of what really happened will be similar. That's how I explain it. So that's I think perhaps maybe we didn't understand each other with Advocate Mnesi.
Bengichazile ukuthi-ke ofakazi labo uma besichazela ukuthi kwenzekani ubuningi babo bachaza into efanayo kodwa-ke la ebehluka khona kakhulu ilapho sechaza ukuthi-ke abantu laba ababenjani ila behluka khona ngoba uthi nanoma-ke kunamavidiyo owavezayo noma iy'thombe kuyaqhubeka ukuya phambili babe nendlela abehluka ngayo kusinikeni incazelo yokuthi babenjani abantu.
And this part, my Lord, was specific because I'm moving from what I'm being asked. For example, we've dealt with a part where some of the witnesses will say the first intruder was wearing a beige brown jacket, and I even said others are saying khaki. That is a description that is given, my Lord, that the tiny details are not consistent, but not that there is no description, my Lord. So I was specifying to tiny details that you do not find that consistency, not that there's no description at all or that they differ completely. It's not what I said, my Lord.
Futhi-ke bengifuna ukusho ukuthi akusho ukuthi-ke uma kukhona umehluko omncane kule ncazelo abayilethayo manje imininingwane yalabantu abebekhona lapha kusho ukuthi-ke bebehluka kakhulu. Yebo bekukhona ukwehluka okuncanyana okukhona lapha nalapha ngoba abanye bebethi ibhantshi eligqokile lalibheji abanye bathi lalukhakhi kodwa-ke akusho lokho ukuthi into abebeyichaza yehluke ngale ndlela yokuthi-ke isingachithwa kodwa-ke lokho abebechaza kwakufana kwakuba yilapha nalapha into ey'ncanyana nje ezazenza ukuthi kube nokwehluka.
Yes, my Lord.
So you're basically now correcting yourself and saying that also they are consistent in respect of certain aspects of their description of the cantata. Is that what you're not saying?
The witness is not correcting himself. That's what he said. It's on record. He's just repeating what he said.
Thank you. Now, I'm noting that you are agreeing that there's consistency in some of the description that the witnesses who were in the house gave of the person that was having a firearm in his possession. Is that how should I understand you?
So manje avumela ukuthi kukhona ukuhambisana kwale ncazelo eyalethwa abantu abayengaphakathi uma bechaza lo muntu owayephethe isibhamu.
Yes, there are some consistencies, my Lord, in terms of the description of the first intruder.
Yebo kukhona ukuhambisana kwezincazelo uma bekhuluma ngalo muntu owayephethe isibhamu.
Thank you, my Lord. Now Kelly says to Warrant Officer Steenkamp that the person who had the firearm had a golden insect in his aperture.
Manje uKelly kumalume kumtshela uSteenkamp uthi lo muntu ke wayephethe isibhamu wayenezimo legolide emhlathini wangenhla.
Yes, my lord, I saw that, my lord.
Yebo ngibonile nalokho.
And come I tell you something about what this court had heard about the house in which this incident took place.
I beg your pardon?
I'm saying, come I tell you, what is it that the court has heard or heard about the house wherein this incident took place?
Athi ke sikhulume ngalo ukuthi inkantolo izwe kuthiwani ngale ndawo lapho okwenzeka ke lesehlakalo.
Actually, the court took judicial notice of the size of the house.
Inkantolo ke iyaqaphela ukuthi lendlu ingakanani.
I'm listening, my lord.
Although I do not know the exact measurement, but from what this court was told, it wasn't a mansion. I think that also came out very clear. It was not a big house. It was just a normal, a tiny 4-roomed township house.
Akungeyona indlu enkulu kakhulu, kwakuyindlu nje ejwayelekile yaselokishini.
I think also the court remarked that when
This is not a tiny 4-room house. I think the photos are there. It wasn't a 4-room house.
Yeah, it could not have been a 4-room, but it was very tiny. But this is what the court remarked. That when you move maybe from the bathroom, then you are in the kitchen. That's the imagination that I had about the size of the house when the court remarked on that. In other words, it was just a very compact house. It wasn't really a big house out of respect of the Khumalo family. It was a big house.
Kwaze waphawula inkosi yankantolo ukuthi muphuma bathroom uzithola ususe kitchen. So ekuzama ukubeka la ukuthi ke kwakungeyona indlu enkulu kakhulu.
I'm listening, my lord.
Hayi ngisalalela.
With that situation in the house, the witnesses who were in the house, in terms of their description of the perpetrators who got into the house, could not be faulted, because it's not like they were 7 meters away from the perpetrators or 10 meters away from the perpetrators. They were actually looking at each other in their faces.
Manje ke isimo ke sasendlini leso ke sichaza ukuthi ke ofakazi ababesendlini babengeke babe nencazelo ehlukile ngalabantu abangena endlini ngoba babeseduze babebabuka ebusweni,
Which then means their observation, which led to the description of these perpetrators, cannot be faulted.
manje usho ukuthi incazelo yabo uma bechaza labantu abayahlasela usho ukuthi angeke sabona isici ngayo.
As a court, please, my lord, the advocate may say, put you on record that he has read the case of State versus Mtetwa. I think this is a matter that should be left for argument. It's not a proposition that can be put to this witness. It was clearly said, the opportunity that the witnesses have had to observe the lighting and all those things, those play a role, and those are issues that should be argued and not be put to this witness.
As it pleases the court, Madam, I think Advocate Baloyi is correct, but what I'm trying to bring across to this witness is that when Kelly says that this guntotter had a golden inset in her PARTII, would that not mean that Kelly was very close to this witness to even see that she had a golden inset in her PARTII?
Manje ukhalumethi lo umuntu angena lapha endlini wayenezinyo elalinegolide kulona usho ukuthi lokho akuchazi ukuthi ke uSikheli wayeseduze kakhulu kunalo muntu ukuze akwazi ukubona nokuthi wayenezinyo elinegolide.
that not be the case?
My lord, the assumption will be that, but like I said, that assertion is contained in Warrant Officer Steenkamp's statement. And my recollection insofar as Ms. Kelly Khumalo, the issue of the golden teeth also, my lord, because there were various statements made, I seem to recall that may have been withdrawn at some stage, that, you know, this is not what I said, something to that effect. And one can be able to give that accurate response once I've gone through all the statement. But that's my recollection, my lord, of what is contained in some of her statements.
Yebo ngaba lokho akutshela warrant officer Steenkamp kodwa ke mangathi ngiyakhumbula ngathi khona la akagcina sesiphinde sahoqisa leso statement esikhuluma ngegolide kodwa kuzafanele ukuthi ngifunisise ukuze ngithole ukuthi washo kodwa ke ngathi kwakukhona ukukhuluma ngalokho.
Because on the first statement, like I said, my lord, even the issue of the will is not mentioned, and the gold teeth, it's not there. But I do recall that somewhere it was mentioned, you know. So you don't have these consistencies of statement, and here we're relying on what Warrant Officer Steenkamp says she was told, not on what she said on her statement when she gave it the first time to the police, my lord.
Manje ke la kulesi statement sokuqala siyabona ukuthi leli zinga legolide akukhulunywanga ngayo ngoba lana sincike kakhulu kulokhu uwarrant officer Steenkamp asitshela ukuthi watshelwa kona.
And I'm not doubting it, my lord. I'm not casting aspersions on the warrant officer to say this cannot, but I'm just saying if you take that and you mirror image it to the statements disposed, you know, there's no complete lineup. That's what I mean, my lord.
Angizami ke ukuchaza ukuthi ke ngiyakusola kwasho warrant officer Steenkamp kodwa ke uma sesibheka singabona ukuthi cha kungabe kukhona mhlawumbe amaphutha akho.
Yes, my lord, that's my response.
Thank you. You correct. This is what an expert was told by the witnesses who were in the house in order to assist the investigation with the compilation of an identity kit. Kelly further on told Mrs. Steenkamp that the type of a firearm that the suspect had in his possession, the gun toter, was an old black revolver. Do you see that?
Uyabona yini ukuthi uKelly waqhubeka utshela uMam Steenkamp ukuthi uhlobo ke lesi sibhamu esasiphethwe yilo muntu kwakuyivolovolo elidala elimnyama.
Yes, I saw that, my lord. Let me get just to page 46, yes.
Now, in your investigation of this case, did you come across an information which could have led to the belief that Kelly did not know what is it that she was talking about when she specifically named this firearm an old black revolver?
Manje qhubekeni nophenyo lwakho khona la wabona khona ukuthi khona yini into engaphikisa ukuthi uKelly wayazi takhuluma ngayo methi yena lesi sibhamu esiphethe umuntu wangena okuyisibhamu esiyivolovolo elidala elimnyama.
My lord, as I've said, in her statements under oath signed by her, she doesn't mention the revolver. That's the first part, my lord.
Ngisho ukuthi ke statementini sakhe esayiniwe akasho lutho ngeyivolovolo.
Secondly, my lord, when the investigation kicked in, when we started having sight, she was then mentioned as a trigger point. Then she became a person of interest, a suspect, my lord.
Manje futhi okunye ukuthi ke emva kwesikhathi kwagcina kubonakalela ukuthi kuumuntu nje esifanele simbhekisise.
And evidence to corroborate that, my lord, which I've dealt with, then was found. And therefore, a person like that, my lord, you will then not be certain as to what she said is accurate, because there's assertion or this allegation that she was a trigger point for what has happened. Investigation is done. Let's put aside even the confessions that were made, my lord, but certain evidence is found, including the link to accused number 5 in terms of those things. And we could not, I'm just saying this, my lord, that those are the things that raise concern. So you're not dealing with your normal day type of a witness. You're dealing with someone who is questionable and it is alleged that was part of the perpetrators who committed this crime. So you cannot then take what that person, without questioning it. I think you'll be making a gruesome mistake, my lord.
Mina sathi senze iphuthu uma ukuthi sithatha istatement sakhe njenge statement sa nanombani ufakazi ngoba yena emva kwesikhathi sathi masiqhubeka ngophenyo sathola ukuthi mhlambe ungaba umuntu sifanele simbhekisise ngoba kukhona lekwezinye indawo masima kuloko siqhubeka ngophenyo la kuvelayo ukuthi naye mhlambe uyasoleka.
However, my lord, the last part also which I've touched on is that she also did not have a license, my lord, to possess a firearm. So and this is the part I dealt with, that the expertise in terms of identifying firearms, with greatest respect to her, and all those who described the firearm as a specific type of a firearm were not there, my lord.
Futhi kokunye ukuthi naye akanayo ilicense yesibhamu ukusho ukuthi ke akanabuchwepheshe bokuthi angasinika incazelo enhle neyamukelekayo mayelana nesibhamu.
Yes, my lord.
Brigadier, my question is very simple. I'm not talking speculation as to why she could not have been, why she may not have known that this was a black revolver or what. My question is, in the course of your investigation, did you find anything that would have told you that Kelly Khumalo did not know? What is it that she was talking about when she referred to this firearm that was in possession of the guntotter as an old black revolver?
Manje kupheni kwenu khona yini into enganeza ukuthi nithi uKelly wayengeka kwazi wayengayazi into akhuluma ngayo umezoletha incazelo athi isibhamu esasilapha kwakuyisibhamu esiuhlobo lwevolovolo esidala esimnyama.
My lord, as I've said, in my investigation, what we found is that she was implicated as the trigger point. Secondly, her statement does not mention a revolver, because now we're dealing with Miss Kelly Khumalo. Thirdly, my lord, I've indicated that we did not interview her, so there was no time where we sat down and interview her to deal with these issues, my lord.
Manje ke ngikushoyo ke mina yilokho ukuthi ke eqaleni statementini sakhe akukho la ekhuluma khona ngevolovolo. Futhi kokunye ke ukuthi naye uyasoleka kulolu daba lolu kuleli cala. Nokwesithathu ke ukuthi is this third part uthi akukhona
Azange siminterview.
uthi ke yabo okwesithathu ukuthi asizange sixoxisane naye ukuze sitholisise kahle ukuthi ubethi.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the very same question with regard to Longwe. Longwe described the firearm that was wielded by the guntotter as a .38 special. Now, common sense will tell us that a .38 special is simply a revolver. What did you find anything in the course of your investigation that Longwe could not have known that that firearm was a 3.8 special? Was a .38 special.
Manje ke asikhulume ngoLongwe ethwala. uLongwe ethwala umechaza uthi lesibhamu kwakuyi i.38 special. Manje ke siyazi ke sonke into yaziwayo ukuthi i.38 special ivolovolo. Manje ke yini ke wena eyakwenza ukuthi ebinganenza ukuthi ngicabanga ukuthi akazi ukuthi ukhuluma ngani nokuthi ubengeke akwazi ukuthi alethe leyo ncazelo ibe incazelo enhle umethi ke kwakuyi .38 special.
Yes, my lord. What I found is that is also him. He is not trained. He does not possess a license for a firearm or even any training certificate or course that he attended with regard to firearms. So that removes complete expertise, because when you say a .38 special, you are specifying a specific firearm that comes with training and experience. And if you don't have that, I'm not so sure how could you make such an assertion, my lord. But there are no expertise there in terms of qualifications that we could find on his ID.
Nakuyena ke akazange aqeqeshwe mela nebhamu akanayo ilicense akanaso icertificate mhlambe esishoyo ukuthi wakwaqeqeshwa manje ke lokho ke konke ke kuyakhombisa ukuthi ke abukho ubuchwepheshe esingacabanga ukuthi angabe enabo ngoba umuntu ufanele abe eqeqeshiwe ukuthi abe nolwazi lokuthi ke lesi sibhamu lesi i.38 special ngoba lesi i.38 special uhlobo oluthize lwesibhamu.
So what I'm saying, my lord, it will require a specific training and skills to identify a revolver as a .38, because you get a lot of revolvers, but not all revolvers are actually a .38 special. Now, Mr. Longo that we're talking about, and Ms. Khumalo as well, as Warrant Officer Steenkamp indicates, none of them possess the training in firearms at all, my lord.
Njengoba bengisho ukuthi bekufanele kube umuntu owaqeqeshwa ukuze azi umehluko phakathi kwamavolofolo ngoba i.38 special elinye nje uhlobo levolofolo ngoba maningi ziningi inhlobo zamavolofolo njengoba ngisho ukuthi nokheli naye njengoba ngithi akaqeqeshiwe futhi nalona ulongethwaba akho training noma ukuqeqeshwa adlula kona ukuze akwazi ukuthi asho ukuthi cha leli volofolo lele ngilibonayo lana i.38 special.
Yes, madam.
Thank you. You know, Brigadier, I'm going to make a very simple example. The answer that you're giving me now with regard to your reasons why they could not have been accurate in the description of this firearm is just like when you go and ask any other child that you're meeting in the street, and then you show him a photo of President Mandela or President Zuma or President, the current president of the country, Cyril Ramaphosa. And then you show them a photo of those presidents. Let's say it's President Cyril Ramaphosa. You show that person, a kid, you know, a 7-year-old, and then he says to you, this is President Cyril Ramaphosa. Who's this person? And the kid says to you, no, this is President Cyril Ramaphosa. Will you then say to that, and then you ask that child, have you ever met President Cyril Ramaphosa? And the child says to you, no, I haven't met him personally. Would you then say, by virtue of the fact that that child had not met President Cyril Ramaphosa personally, they would not be in a position to tell that the person that you are showing them in the picture is President Cyril Ramaphosa? Simple logic.
But that's different. I mean, Cyril Ramaphosa, we all know him, his visage, image.
Yes, my lord.
Now, if you ask a person like me,
Yes.
and you say I had a firearm, ask me in Zulu.
Yes.
Katapetis bam. Katapetis bam. That's how people talk. Petit volovol. And go and ask, as he says, a guy who has undergone training as a soldier, like the whites in this country. At 16, 17, 18, they used to go for military training.
Yes.
You ask that guy, when he has a rifle,
Yes.
he's going to tell you it's a rifle,
Yes.
a gun.
Yes, my lord.
It's a baby brown.
Yes, my lord.
It's a 38.
Yes, my lord.
Because he's trained. That's how I understand you.
Yes.
That's correct.
But me is palm.
Yes, my lord.
So Dubulang is palm.
Yes, my lord.
Maybe an AK-47 is palm. Palm.
Yes, my lord.
Mr. Nomano, am I exaggerating? Ask guys. Without tunyan. So this tunyan. Okay, you've heard my view. That colloquially, this is how people generally talk. But if you have Mandela's image,
Yes.
it's different. It's specific.
Yes.
Okay, fine. Maybe I'm wrong, fine. But that's how I see it.
Yes, my lord. My lord, without specifically, well, the court said, if I were to come and present a firearm to the court would generally say, this is a firearm. That will be the court's observation. But somebody else, you bring it to me, you say to me, what is this? And then I say to you, that's a Z88.
Yeah, fine.
and I don't have a firearm license. And indeed, that firearm is a Z88. Can I then be faulted and be told that, no, Mnish, you can't know that this is a Z88? Similarly, when I present a firearm which is a revolver to the court, and the court says, no, let's use spam, maybe the court will even say, crash alone. And
Yeah,
then
no.
you come to me, and you present it to me, that same firearm which is a revolver. I say, Mr. Ramusipili, that's a revolver. What are you doing with a revolver? That firearm with the wheel. It does not necessarily mean, my lord, that if a person does not have a particular training in something, they will not be able to know the thing. That is exactly that, which is the reason why I'm asking this week. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Ngobo, we're taking your
I'm
time.
already completely lost because
Oh,
we
yeah.
started with a lot of things.
Yeah,
But
no,
I
try
can
to-
summarize what
yeah,
you're saying.
yeah.
Uma ukuthi inkantolo inikwa ikhonjwa isibhamu mhlambe ke inkosi yenkantolo ngathi yebo isibhamu leso kodwa ke umuntu njengami mungamkhomba isibhamu esithize uthi yini lesi sibhamu ngasho ngithi mina uthi ngasho ngithi size-38 lesi sibhamu kodwa ke angiqeqeshiwe kodwa ke abanye abantu bakhombisa isibhamu mhlawumbe ngeke bakwazi ukusho ukuthi lesi sibhamu siyini kodwa ke mina nanoma ngaqeqeshiwe khona ibhamu engikwazi ukuthi ngizikhombe ukuthi inhloboni isibhamu lesi.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Balo, you wanted to say something before I interrupted you.
No, my lord, no, thank you.
Oh,
yes, yeah. No, I just wanted to say the scenario that
Yeah,
Advocate Mrs. is painting regarding children and the president is completely different from firearms.
Malema says Kirango. Malema, he says the president Kirango. So it describes a person. But how? Is it bum? I don't know. You'll have to address me thoroughly on that. I saw a lot of those firearms in that Exhibit S, is it?
Is it J? Is it not J?
J.
Yes.
Exhibit S, man.
Yeah,
Is it S?
One gun, you call it my killing machine, and what. Different firearms.
Yes, my lord.
So maybe, yeah, fine, you'll have to address me about whether, in fact, a lay person can know particular firearms, even if he's not trained. Fine.
Yes, my lord, but which is the reason why then I actually asked this witness
Yeah.
that in terms of their investigation, did they find something to the contrary which would say that the description of that particular firearm by the witnesses who are describing those firearms, they are wrong in describing those firearms in terms of that description?
Hayi ngifuna ukwazi ukuthi khona yini izathu ezinoholela ekutheni ngicabanga ukuthi incazelo yalabo ufakazi laba ngalesi sibhamu akuyona yiphutha lela baluhlobo.
Yes, my lord, the answer is yes. But perhaps let me deal with the example that Advocate Mnisi made, my lord. Yes, children may know President Mandela, President Ramaphosa because they see him on TV. You do not need a license to watch television. Anyone can identify President Mandela. When it comes to firearms, you need a license. You cannot just identify firearms when you've got no expertise. So that's the first part, my lord.
Kuqala ke ingane zingakwazi ukuthi umuntu othize uMandela noma ubani omunye ngoba awuyidingi i-license noma imvume yokuthi ke ubuke i-TV kodwa ke ukuthi ukwazi ukusebenzisa ibhamu kuyaphoqeleka ukuthi ube ne-license okufanele ukuyikona ke okungakusiza ukuthi ukwazi ukubona umehluko phakathi kweyibhamu.
And when I say license, my lord, I don't mean the annual fee that you pay to the SABC. I'm saying the qualification to say to watch TV, you must be qualified in order to explain what you are watching. You do not need a license for that, my lord.
Ya engichaza ukuthi ke angisho ukuthi khulumi ngale license yokuthi ekhokhelwayo ngonyaka kwa SAB kodwa ke ngichaza ukuthi awukudingi ukuthi ube ne-license ethize ukuthi ukwazi ukuchaza into oyibonayo ku-TV.
Secondly, my lord, when it comes to investigation, what was found, which is scientific and forensic evidence, is that the ballistic expert who visited that crime scene a few hours after the incident happened they found that the projectile that was found, it belongs to a 9mm. That is objective evidence in my view, my lord.
Uthi okunye ukuthi ke ochwepheshe ke bama-ballistic abaya kuleyo ndawo bathi uma bethola inhlamvu yatholakala lapho bakwazi ukuthi babone ukuthi leyo nhlamvu leyo kwakuyihlobo lwe-9mm. Lokho akuphikiseki.
Now you then need, my lord, to take what Mr. Longethwala is saying in relation to the expect that says the projectile that I found, and here are my qualifications to make this determination. It's a 9mm. In relation to someone with no expertise who says it's a revolver, you can only conclude that there are no expertise here, and that's why I answered it that way, my lord, because you cannot compare the two. They're incomparable.
Manje ke uLongethwala angeke sakwazi umqhathanisa nochwepheshe ngoba uchwepheshe waya lapha wafika wabona ukuthi le i-9mm. Manje lo ongenabuchwepheshe wathi ivolovolo. Manje ke sifanele sithathe lokho okukhulunywa umuntu owuchwepheshe.
And that applies to Ms. Kelly Kumalo as well, my lord.
Futhi naloko kuyasebenza nakukhwele Kumalo.
Yes, that's my response, my lord.
Brigadier Kininda, I think you're trying too hard. Look, one does not need a license to go into Google and Google firearms for them to know that this is, what kind of a firearm is this? Now it's in Google. This is AK-47, this is a Z88, this is a .38 special. And these things are sold all over the show. People go all over the show on Windows there, you know, at the Run Easter show. When it was then called the Run Easter show or the Pretoria show here. These things would be displayed all over the show. In essence, what I'm saying is that one does not need a license or to have a particular expertise to know that what I'm looking at is a revolver. What I'm looking at, it's a 9mm. That's not a requirement for knowledge.
Ngicazama ukuchaza ukuthi awuyidingi ilicense yokuthi ungene kuGoogle uyoveza into uyohlola noma ukusesha into oyifunayo lapha kuGoogle ngoba uyakwazi ukuthi ngifuna ukubona i9mm ngifuna ukubona lolu hlobo nanoma ngifuna oluyivolovolo futhi ke awudingi ukuthi ube ne license noma ubuchwepheshe bokuthi uhambe uyobona mhlambe kuye ko Rand Easter show ubula bekhombisa khona inhlobo zebhamu ukuthi uyobona ukuthi hawu kanti kunesibhamu esinje nesinje.
Now, before you maybe respond, do you know this adage that says scientific invention is a boon to mankind? Do you know it?
Yes, I do, ma'am.
Yes, if you know, you know. Then you no longer argue about whether or not you need expertise to know that this is this is that. Thank you. Now let us proceed.
No, I would like to respond, ma'am.
Oh,
but
okay,
I've not
respond.
responded. I only responded to know. I know that's scientific citation, but I would like to respond to this.
Yes.
So, my lord, yes, you do not need a license to Google. We're on the same page with Advocate Mnisi. However, this situation that we're in, and I'm dealing about this matter because the identification of the revolver by Mr. Longethwala relates to this matter. You cannot take it in isolation. He says that, but what do we have in this case, my lord? You've got a projectile that was found at the crime scene.
Yes.
It's found. Then a ballistic expert, a trained person, comes and say, this projectile is a 9mm, contrary to what Mr. Long is saying. You then have to take into account that this is an expert. What expertise does this person have to contradict? Because there's a contradiction. A 9mm projectile is not the same as a revolver projectile. Here you have got this version by an expert. Now you have this version given by this witness in the form of a statement. You now need to make sense. Which one is the truth? Or which one will make sense? And I'm saying, because of the lack of expertise this side, that is in Mr. Longethwala, there is no way you can say this person, what he's saying, is accurate because you have a trained and qualified expert this side who says this is a 9mm a projectile that I found, and we have credentials on top, my lord, that shows the expertise of how this person came to make this conclusion. On the other side, the person doesn't have, with greatest respect, even a training certificate in firearms. How could that be accurate, my lord?
Manje ngizama ukuthi ngichaze lana ukuthi ke uma sibheka uLongethwala akukho akaqeqeshwanga futhi akukho okusikhombisa ukuthi khona lapho ahamba uyofundela khona izinto zebhamu. Kodwa ke manje ke sisimqhathisisa nalona uchwepheshe bezibhamu ngoba lana endaweni isigameko kukatholakala inhlamvu eyayikhona lapho and lapho uchwepheshe athi khona le nhlamvu le yatholakala i9 mm and futhi ke manje ke sisiyazibuza ukuthi ngapha kulongwe sizothi yini ayaziyo engasiholela ekutheni sithi yebo uyakwazi ngempela ukuthi akhombe ukuthi leli kwakuyivolovolo. Manje lana sesiqhathanisa ulwazi lomuntu owuchwepheshe nolwazi lomuntu ongenalutho ongasilutho ola uthi yena kwakuyivolovolo ngoba lana sasinayo inhlamvu esayisa kulo owuchwepheshe ballistic wafika ihlola ya la idutshulwe yilo isibhamu esu9 mm ngoba khona umehluko phakathi kwenhlamvu edutshulwe isibhamu esu9 mm nenhlamvu edutshulwe yivolovolo. Manje ke sithatha kuphi kulaba babili kulo owuchwepheshe nalo ongenichwepheshe.
Thank you, Brigadier. I think we will just circumambulate like fishes in water. I think I'll take that up on argument.
Understood, my lord.
Thank you. You know, I nearly would have been charged with high treason. I forgot who the current state president is. That must be an indication that the mind is very tired. I think it's time that I approached the court and requested for an adjournment. Otherwise, we'll not be doing justice to these proceedings if we were to proceed in this state. Not so.
I understand. Yes, my lord. With regard to the state president, I was actually surprised as well when Advocate Mnisi could not recall the name of the current president.
That is basically high treason. It's unconstitutional. I am being uncompatriotic.
Yes, patriotic to the country.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and it amounts to high treason. Thank you. That's just an indication of how tired the mind is.
No, I understand.
As it pleases the court, my lord.
There are
They
people
used to say
there
in
are
humble...
people who don't recognize the president of this country.
My lord,
You know that there are people who don't recognize the president of this country.
they are uncompatriotic, my lord.
I don't know, but I'm saying that there are. So
Yeah.
me it doesn't surprise me.
Yes, my lord. Yes.
I won't say much.
Yes, my lord. I'm also on the same page with the court, my lord. Thank you, my lord. May
What's
I
your time
request...
there, sir? Mr.
It's 15:13. In any case, it's very close to our normal sitting
Yeah,
time.
it's fine. All right. Okay, are you available still tomorrow? No?
Yes, I am, my lord.
Okay, thank you. Okay, again, now, say, they are mentally tired. Ngikhuluma ngevolovolo, nesibhamu. 10 o'clock.